energetically and said, "No, this reading needs to be about me." That is the sensation the cards are giving right away. Not subtle, not quiet, very present. Almost like someone's thoughts and emotions have become so intense that they are pushing their way into this moment, trying to reach you. And the very first message appearing through the cards sounds something like this: "There is something I need to tell you." The first card appearing here is the Ace of Swords. This card represents truth, clarity, and communication that has been waiting for the right moment to appear. When the Ace of Swords enters a reading, it often signals a realization that can no longer stay silent. Imagine someone sitting alone, thinking about a situation again and again. At first, they try to distract themselves. They focus on other things: work, daily life, responsibilities, but the thought keeps returning, and eventually something inside them becomes very clear. They need to speak. The Ace of Swords is that moment. It is the moment when someone realizes that honesty is necessary, because keeping something inside their heart has become heavier than expressing it. The next card appearing here is the Page of Cups. This card carries gentle emotional energy. It represents someone who wants to speak from the heart, even if they feel a little nervous about it. The Page of Cups often appears when someone has sincere feelings, but they are still gathering the courage to express them. Picture someone replaying conversations in their mind, remembering things you said, remembering the way you reacted to something small. Those memories may have stayed with them longer than expected, and slowly something inside them begins to form, a feeling and emotion, a message that wants to be delivered. The Page of Cups suggests that what this person wants to say may come from a very genuine place. The next card appearing here is the Hermit. This card represents deep reflection. The Hermit appears when someone has been thinking carefully about their emotions, not rushing, not reacting impulsively, instead stepping back and trying to understand what their heart is actually feeling. This person may have taken time away from the connection. Maybe they became quiet, maybe they withdrew slightly. But that silence did not mean they stopped caring. In fact, the Hermit often appears when someone is trying to understand the true meaning of a connection. And during that reflection, they may have realized something important. Your presence affected them more than they originally admitted. The next card appearing here is the Six of Cups. This card carries the energy of memories. Warm memories, the kind of moments that return unexpectedly, a conversation that felt easy, a laugh that stayed in their mind, a small interaction that felt natural and genuine. The Six of Cups suggests that this person may find themselves remembering these moments more often than they expected. Sometimes memories appear quietly, but when they begin appearing again and again, they reveal something important. The connection meant something. The next card appearing here is the King of Cups. This card represents deep emotional awareness. The King of Cups is someone who feels strongly, even if they don't always show it openly. This suggests that the person appearing in this reading may carry deeper feelings than they have revealed so far. They may have tried to remain calm. They may have tried to keep their emotions controlled. But the King of Cups represents someone who cannot ignore what they feel forever. Eventually, emotional truth rises to the surface. The final card appearing in this first part is the Judgment card. This is a powerful moment of realization. Judgment appears when someone understands something important about a situation or about themselves. Sometimes people move through life without fully recognizing their emotions, but then something happens, a memory appears. A moment of silence allows them to think, and suddenly the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Judgment represents that awakening. This person may have realized something about you, something about the connection, something about what they feel. And once that realization appears, it begins creating a desire to speak, because the energy surrounding this reading carries a very clear message. Someone has something important to say. Something honest, something they have been holding inside, and the longer they keep it to themselves, the stronger the urge becomes to finally share it with you. Because sometimes when a realization appears in the heart, it changes everything. Alright, so something begins to move in the energy now, and it feels like a quiet pressure building inside someone's heart. because after reflection, after memories, after realization, a moment eventually comes where the heart begins asking a new question. And that question sounds like this: how long can I keep this to myself? The first card appearing here is the Two of Swords. This card often appears when someone has been standing at a crossroads inside their mind. Part of them wants to stay silent, part of them wants to speak. The Two of Swords represents that inner moment where someone feels the weight of a decision. Imagine someone replaying the situation again and again, thinking about what happened, thinking about the connection, thinking about whether they should say what they truly feel. And the longer they think about it, the more difficult silence becomes, because sometimes keeping emotions inside can feel safe at first. But over time, silence begins to feel heavier than honesty. The next card appearing here is the Knight of Pentacles. This energy moves slowly, but it moves with intention. The Knight of Pentacles represents someone who does not rush emotional decisions. This is someone who thinks carefully before acting. They observe, they reflect, they try to understand the situation from every possible angle. This person may have spent time watching the connection quietly, not because they lacked interest, but because they wanted to be certain about what they were feeling. And now that certainty may finally be appearing, the next card appearing here is the Eight of Cups. This card represents emotional departure from confusion. Sometimes people walk away from situations that feel uncertain, but not because they stop caring. Sometimes they step back because they need to understand their emotions clearly. The Eight of Cups can represent someone realizing that avoiding their feelings no longer feels right. They may have tried to distance themselves emotionally. They may have tried to focus on other things, but the heart has a way of guiding someone back toward what truly matters. And slowly, they may be understanding that the connection with you never fully left their mind. The next card appearing here is the Queen of Cups. This card represents emotional depth, empathy, and sincere affection. The Queen of Cups often appears when someone feels emotionally drawn toward another person in a gentle but meaningful way. Your energy may have felt calming to them. Maybe they noticed that conversations with you felt genuine. Maybe they felt understood in your presence. The Queen of Cups suggests that your emotional presence left a lasting impression on this person. Sometimes when someone meets another person who feels emotionally safe, they remember that feeling long after the moment has passed, and that memory can quietly grow into something deeper. The next card appearing here is the Three of Cups. This card carries joyful energy. It represents happiness shared between people, moments where laughter appears easily, where conversations feel light, where connection feels natural. This person may remember the moments they shared with you as something positive, something that brought warmth into their life. And sometimes those memories become the reason someone decides to reconnect, because they realize something simple: those moments mattered. The final card appearing in this part is the Ace of Wands. This card brings energy, excitement, and the spark of new action. The Ace of Wands appears when someone begins feeling inspired to take initiative, when the desire to act becomes stronger than the desire to stay quiet. It represents the moment where someone feels the impulse to reach out, to start a conversation, to open the door that has remained closed. And that is the energy appearing here. Someone has been thinking, reflecting, trying to understand their emotions, but now something inside them may be shifting, because reflection eventually leads to realization, and realization eventually leads to movement. The message appearing in this part becomes very clear. This person has not forgotten the connection. They have not dismissed the feelings that appeared between you. In fact, those feelings may have been growing quietly while they were trying to understand them. And now the thought of speaking, of reaching out, of finally expressing what has been building inside their heart, may be beginning to feel unavoidable. Because sometimes when emotions stay in the heart long enough, they begin searching for a voice. All right, so it feels like someone has reached a moment where the truth inside their heart has become impossible to ignore. Not dramatic, not chaotic, just clear. And sometimes clarity is the moment when everything begins to change. The first card appearing here is the Nine of Swords. Now this card often represents someone whose thoughts have been very active lately. Late night thinking moments where the mind refuses to rest. The Nine of Swords can appear when someone keeps replaying situations over and over. What they said, what they didn't say, what they wish they had done differently. This person may have been reflecting on the connection with you during moments when everything else around them becomes quiet. Sometimes people understand their feelings most clearly during those quiet moments when the distractions disappear, when they are alone with their thoughts. And during those moments, you may appear in their mind more often than they expected, not in a painful way, more like a realization that the connection meant something. The next card appearing here is the Six of Swords. This card represents movement, but not rushed movement. It is the energy of someone slowly leaving confusion behind. Sometimes people need time before they understand what their heart is trying to say. They may hesitate. They may question themselves. But eventually, clarity appears. The Six of Swords suggests that this person may be moving away from uncertainty. They may be beginning to understand what the connection with you truly represents. And that understanding can bring a sense of calm, because when someone understands their emotions clearly, their actions begin to align with that truth. The next card appearing here is the Page of Swords. This card represents observation, curiosity, someone who pays attention. The Page of Swords often appears when someone is quietly interested in another person's life. They may wonder how you are doing, what you are thinking, what direction your life is moving in. Sometimes they may even check small details, social media, shared environments, mutual conversations, just to feel a little closer to your world, not in a negative way, more like curiosity that comes from emotional interest. Because when someone feels a connection with another person, they naturally want to understand more about them. The next card appearing here is the Temperance card. This card represents balance, patience, and emotional harmony. Temperance suggests that this person has been trying to approach their feelings carefully. They may not want to rush into expressing everything immediately. Instead, they may be trying to find the right moment, the right tone, the right way to say what they have been feeling. Because sometimes when emotions are sincere, people want to express them properly, not impulsively, not recklessly, but with honesty and respect. The next card appearing here is the Four of Pentacles. This card represents someone holding on to something valuable. Emotionally speaking, it can suggest that someone has been holding on to their feelings, protecting them, keeping them close. They may not have shown everything openly yet, but the Four of Pentacles suggests that what they feel has not disappeared. If anything, it has remained steady, quiet, but present. Sometimes people guard their emotions because they do not want to lose something meaningful, and that may be what this person has been doing, holding their feelings close, while trying to understand them fully. The next card appearing here is the Two of Cups, and this card changes the energy in a very beautiful way. The Two of Cups represents emotional connection between two people, mutual understanding. The feeling that two energies naturally recognize each other. Sometimes when the Two of Cups appears, it shows that the connection between two people carries sincerity. It does not feel forced. It does not feel artificial. Instead, it feels natural, like two people simply enjoy each other's presence. The Two of Cups suggests that this person may see something special in the bond between you, something worth exploring rather than ignoring. The final card appearing in this part is the Knight of Cups. And this card brings the energy of emotional expression. Once again, the Knight of Cups represents someone who eventually follows their heart. Someone who realizes that expressing their feelings may be the only way to move forward. Honestly, this person may still feel a little nervous. They may wonder how you will react, but the Knight of Cups suggests that their emotions are sincere, and sincerity has a powerful way of guiding someone toward action because the message appearing through this part of the reading becomes clearer. This person has been thinking, reflecting, trying to understand the connection, but something inside them is beginning to shift. Now, take a slow breath for a moment because the energy here begins to feel very close to a turning point. Up to this moment in the reading, everything has been building quietly: thoughts, memories, realizations, feelings that grew stronger while someone tried to understand them. But something shifts here because there comes a point where reflection cannot continue forever. Eventually, a heart reaches the moment where it asks a simple question: what happens if I say nothing? And that question often leads to another one: what happens if I finally speak? The first card appearing here is the Chariot. This card represents movement with intention, not impulsive movement, not chaotic action, but the kind of movement that comes after someone has thought deeply about what they want. The Chariot often appears when someone decides that hesitation is no longer the right path. Instead of standing still, they begin moving forward, and the direction they move toward is usually the place where their heart has been guiding them all along. This person may have spent time observing the connection quietly, trying to understand their feelings, trying to determine whether what they felt was real, but the Chariot suggests that clarity is beginning to replace hesitation, and clarity naturally creates motion. The next card appearing here is the Eight of Wands. This card carries the energy of communication, messages, movement, sudden interaction. When the Eight of Wands appears, it often means that something that felt quiet for a while may suddenly begin moving faster. A message, a conversation, a moment where communication begins again. Sometimes people hesitate for a long time before speaking, but once they decide to open the door, everything begins moving quickly. The Eight of Wands represents that moment when silence finally breaks. The next card appearing here is the Strength card. This card represents emotional courage. Strength is not loud, it is not dramatic. It is the quiet bravery of someone choosing honesty even when they feel vulnerable. This person may feel nervous about expressing what they truly feel. They may wonder how you will respond. They may worry about whether the moment will unfold the way they hope, but strength suggests that their feelings may be strong enough to overcome that hesitation. Because sometimes courage is simply the decision to speak honestly, even when the heart feels exposed. The next card appearing here is the Six of Pentacles. This card represents balance and mutual exchange. It suggests that the connection between two people may have the potential to grow in a healthy and equal way. The Six of Pentacles often appears when someone begins thinking about what they can offer another person, not just what they feel, but how they can contribute to the connection. This person may be wondering how they can show their sincerity, how they can demonstrate that their feelings are genuine. Because emotional honesty becomes more meaningful when it is supported by actions. The next card appearing here is the Star. This card brings a very gentle energy into the reading, hope renewal. Emotional calm, the Star often appears when someone begins to believe that something beautiful could grow between two people. This person may feel that the connection with you carries a kind of peaceful energy. Something refreshing, something genuine, and that feeling may be part of what encourages them to move forward, because sometimes hope is what gives someone the courage to take a step they once hesitated to take. The final card appearing in this part is the Sunday. This card represents clarity, happiness, and emotional warmth. When the Sunday appears, it often signals that truth is coming into the light. No more confusion, no more uncertainty, just openness. The Sunday suggests that when this person finally expresses what they have been holding inside, the energy between you may feel lighter, more honest, more real. And that is why the message of this reading continues becoming clearer with every card. Simone has been thinking deeply about the connection. Simone has been carrying feelings quietly. But those feelings are now approaching a moment where silence no longer feels natural. Instead, the heart may be guiding them towards something very simple, a conversation, a message, a moment where the truth they have been holding inside finally reaches you, because sometimes the most important words someone can say are the ones they spent the longest time preparing to speak. So let the energy settle here for a moment, because what begins to appear now feels very personal. Almost like someone standing very close, preparing themselves to finally say what has been building inside their heart. Not rushed, not chaotic, just real, because sometimes before someone speaks honestly, there is a quiet moment where they gather their thoughts. And that is exactly what the cards begin showing here. The first card appearing is the Page of Pentacles. This card represents a sincere beginning, not dramatic, not overwhelming, but genuine. The Page of Pentacles often appears when someone wants to approach a situation carefully, with respect, with intention. This person may not come forward with grand speeches immediately. Instead, they may begin with something simple. A message, a question, a small conversation, but what matters here is the sincerity behind it. Because the Page of Pentacles is not about impressing someone. It is about being real, and sometimes the most meaningful connections begin with something small, but honest. The next card appearing here is the Nine of Cups. This card represents emotional satisfaction. The feeling that something or someone brings happiness into a person's life. When this card appears, it suggests that this person may associate you with a feeling of comfort, a sense of enjoyment, the kind of presence that makes someone feel relaxed. Sometimes people notice that certain individuals bring calm energy into their world. Conversation flows easily. Moments feel natural. And the more they experience that feeling, the more they begin to value the person who creates it. This person may realize that your presence has become something they genuinely appreciate. The next card appearing here is the Seven of Pentacles. This card represents reflection, looking at something, and asking whether it deserves time and attention. The Seven of Pentacles suggests that this person has been considering the connection seriously. They may be thinking about the potential between you, whether the connection could grow, whether the feelings they carry are worth investing energy into. And the fact that this card appears here suggests something important. They are not dismissing the connection. They are thinking about it carefully. Because when someone begins imagining the future of a connection, it means the bond has already become meaningful to them. The next card appearing here is the King of Pentacles. This card brings grounded energy, stability, maturity. The King of Pentacles represents someone who values sincerity and reliability in relationships. This person may want the connection with you to feel stable, not confusing, clear, not uncertain. They may feel that if they express their emotions, they want those emotions to be taken seriously. Because the King of Pentacles does not approach relationships lightly. They value honesty. They value consistency. And when they care about someone, they prefer to show it through steady actions. The next card appearing here is the Three of Pentacles. This card represents cooperation, two people building something together, learning about each other. Step by step, the Three of Pentacles often appears when a connection has the potential to grow through communication, through shared effort, through mutual understanding. This suggests that the person appearing in this reading may not only want to express their feelings, they may also want to see whether the connection can grow into something real, something that both of you contribute to, something that develops naturally over time. The final card appearing in this part is the Wheel of Fortune. And this card reminds us that timing plays a powerful role in life. Sometimes people cross paths with someone and only later realize how important that meeting was. The Wheel of Fortune suggests that the connection between you and this person may have appeared at a meaningful moment, a moment where both of you were ready to experience something different. Something genuine, because the message appearing here feels very clear. This person has not only been thinking about what they feel, they have also been considering what the connection could become. And that kind of reflection usually leads toward one important step: expression. Because eventually, when someone recognizes that a connection matters, they begin wanting the other person to know it too. And now we arrive at the closing energy of this reading. Everything that has appeared so far, the thoughts, the reflection, the hesitation, the realization, has slowly been guiding us toward this final message. Because the cards are showing that this situation has reached a moment where something inside this person has become very clear. The first card appearing here is the Ace of Cups. This card represents emotional truth rising to the surface. The Ace of Cups is the moment when feelings can no longer stay hidden inside the heart. Imagine someone sitting quietly, replaying the connection in their mind once again, the conversations, the way you made them feel, the moments that seemed small at the time, but stayed with them longer than expected.